My name is Diane Black. I've been a nurse, a small business owner, an educator, a state legislator, and a congressman. However, my favorite titles will always be daughter, wife, and grandmother. My Depression-era parents didn't have more than a ninth grade education. I spent the first years of my life in public housing. The house my parents were ultimately able to buy is the one that they still live in today at 92 years old. I grew up thinking that I could never be able to afford college, but I had a high school counselor who saw something in me that I didn't even see in myself. I never thought that I would have the opportunity to go to college, but he helped me to get my grades up and to get a scholarship to go to nursing school. From my counselor, I learned to have high standards and high expectations. From my parents, I learned to work hard, never quit, and stick close to the most important thing, my Christian values. I've worked hard to let those values guide me in public office, and those are the same values that will guide me as your governor.
My name is Randy Boyd, and I'm a 7th generation Tennessean, born and raised in Knoxville, but with deep West Tennessee roots. I'm a Christian, conservative, family man, and I'm not a professional politician. I didn't grow up on a farm, I grew up in a factory. But that factory made products that many of you probably have used. Electric fencing for cattle and horses. If you've ever been shocked by an electric fence, I'm sorry, I may have had something to do with that. I'm an entrepreneur. I sold electric fencing to small independent feed and seed stores all over the Southeast and learned a lot about the agricultural community. And today we have over $400 million in sales, over 700 employees, and over 4,000 pet products under the brand names Invisible Fence, Sport Dog, and Pet Safe. I've had 2 volunteer roles with Governor Haslam. I authored and helped create the Drive to 55 and the Tennessee Promise, allowing every kid in Tennessee to go to technical and community college for free. I came back a year later and served as the Commissioner of Economic and Community Development. We set new records with 50,000 new job commitments and over $11 billion in pledged capital investment.
Hi, I'm Carl Dean, former mayor of Nashville. I'm running for governor because I love our great state and I want to make it an even better place to live and do business. That's what I did for Nashville. During my first term as mayor, I managed the city through the Great Recession and a historic flood. We kept Nashville fiscally sound during those difficult times by reducing the city budget and cutting spending. At the same time, we protected funding for the things that matter most, including schools and public safety. Because of the decisions we made when times were tough, our city was ready to grow when the economy came back. During my second term, we brought thousands of new jobs to Nashville by investing in our city's strengths, and the city is still booming today as a result. I'm proud of the progress our state is making, but not every community or every family is benefiting the same. We need to bring economic prosperity to every part of Tennessee, especially areas that feel left behind by struggles with joblessness and the opioid crisis.
Hi, I'm Craig Fitzhugh, candidate for governor of the great state of Tennessee. It's a pleasure to be here today on this video presentation, answering a few questions for the 2018 gubernatorial candidate agricultural video platform. I appreciate the Farm Bureau very much and have supported them throughout my legislative career. Why am I running for governor? I was born and raised and educated in this state and lived here all my life. I think my body of work is right for the governor that we need at this time. I'm very interested in farming. The bank that I am the CEO of, we have a large agricultural lending there, and we appreciate the work of farmers, and as a rural person, I know and appreciate our tremendous farming economy. I've practiced law in a small town law firm, and when we were there for the purpose of helping people. I've served in the military, 4 years active and 8 years in the reserve, and then I've had the opportunity to serve in the legislature for the last 24 years. Served under 4 governors, been able to be the chairman of the Finance Committee, which handled the budget, and have served as the minority leader, so I've served both with the majority and the minority. I think that background, that body of work gives me the ability to be the kind of governor that Tennessee wants and needs at this time.
Hello, I'm Beth Harwell. Thank you to the Farm Bureau for giving me this opportunity. I'm running for governor of the great state of Tennessee. It's been an honor to serve as Speaker of the Tennessee House, and in this leadership role, I have led our state through some of our boldest and most successful initiatives, and want to continue that record.
I'm Bill Lee, and this is my farm, Triple L Ranch, a 5-generation beef cattle operation of about 400 Hereford cattle. I live here, my grandfather lived here, my grandson lives here. We're livestock producers. We sell registered cattle to other breeders, but we also sell meat to local markets and restaurants. In fact, my 84-year-old mom will be selling meat out of the back of a truck at the local market this Saturday. I also run Lee Company. It's an HVAC and plumbing and electrical business that employs 1,200, mostly plumbers, pipe fitters, welders, and electricians. In fact, I have a master plumber's license myself. And there's one other thing you ought to know about me. My relationship with Christ is the most important thing in my life, and that'll never change. In fact, right over there on that hill, a real tragedy occurred in my life years ago that God used to strengthen that relationship and to give me a perspective that forever changed my view of the purpose of my life. So I'm a man of faith, I'm an experienced businessman, and I'm a product of rural Tennessee. That's who I am, and those things have everything to do with why I'm running for governor.
My vision is for Tennessee to become the state of opportunity. Opportunity for better education, opportunity for better jobs, and opportunity for everyone. For better education, we will complete the Drive to 55. I plan to put technical college campuses on every high school so every kid can graduate from high school not just with a diploma, but also with a skill like welding or a farm tech certificate, so they can graduate with the opportunity to have a really great job. For better jobs, we want to make Tennessee the best place to start and run a small business. For farmers and all small businesses, my priority will be to cut red tape and get government out of the way. When I say opportunity for everyone, I mean our rural communities. We are only as rich as our poorest neighbors, and many of our neighbors are struggling. The goal of the Rural Task Force was to have 0 distressed counties by the year 2025. I look forward to leading and supporting the Commissioner and his team to make sure we accomplish that goal.
We need to grow the number of good-paying jobs throughout the state, put more funding into public education, including career, technical education, and vocational training, and increase access to affordable, quality health care. Too many rural hospitals are closing in Tennessee because our legislature refused to pass Governor Haslam's Medicaid expansion plan.
My top 3 goals as governor, well, that's pretty simple in a broad sense. Education is the primary thing we do in government, and that's the top of my goals. Specifically, I would love to see us have every child reading at the 3rd grade level by the time they are in the 3rd grade. I think that early childhood reading is so very important. And at the other end, I want to make some type of post-secondary education, whether it be an apprentice, whether it be technical training, whether it be a 2-year college or a 4-year university. I want to make that available and accessible to every Tennessean that needs it. Also, affordable, accessible health care is a key, especially in the farming community, where a lot of times there's not any group-sponsored plan or employer plan that can give folks adequate insurance. So I want to make sure that everybody has adequate and accessible health insurance. In addition to that, from the healthcare standpoint, I want to just completely eradicate the huge scourge that we have with opioids. I think it can be done. We have to tackle it. We have to tackle it hard, and we have to tackle it fast. And then I want better jobs for all, better jobs and careers. Our unemployment rate is down right now, but at the same time we have more people working at the minimum wage than any other state in the union. So those are the 3 broad goals that I want. And speaking of broad, I certainly want to expand broadband throughout the state, and especially in our rural areas.
We will have many challenges and opportunities the next 4 years, but there are 3 things that will be a priority for me. 1, we must keep our fiscal house in order. Every year we balance our budget, we keep our taxes low, and we have the lowest debt in the nation. We want to continue that record. 2, we must continue to push for a better prepared workforce, maintaining our high academic standards evaluating higher education initiatives based on not intentions but results, and focusing on apprenticeships, degrees, and better paying jobs. And third, continue my work on the opioid epidemic. We have made progress, but we must put more resources in drug courts and rehabilitation.
On our state seal, there is a motto: agriculture and commerce. Without agriculture, there is no commerce. And as your governor, I won't forget that. Let me take you to a few places on our farm so we can talk about the questions that matter most to you. And you can find more detailed answers at BillLee.com.
First, one of my top goals is to end the opioid crisis in our state. Our children are dying. The opioid epidemic is a scourge on our society, and I firmly believe the next governor will be judged by how she handles this crisis. As I've traveled throughout the state, I've sought input from the boots on the ground combating this epidemic. Thanks to the advice from the attorney generals and the sheriffs of my Law and Order Coalition and leaders in the healthcare community, we have developed a plan to go after the root cause of the crisis. Second, I want to make sure the world knows that Tennessee is open for business and that every Tennessean who wants a job has one. I fought against higher taxes in the state legislature. I fought against the burdensome Obama-era regulations in Congress. And I fought with President Trump to cut the taxes for small businesses and middle-class families in Tennessee. And that's exactly what I will continue to do as governor to improve Tennessee's economy. Third, my goal is to strengthen education across our state to build a strong future workforce. My education plan is a bottom-up approach. I want to incorporate aptitude testing in middle school to help the children start to think about their career paths. We should adopt a dual-track diploma system to provide students with more options and to make it easier for students to get a license to practice a trade the day they graduate from high school.
Tennesseans in all communities deserve access to the same opportunities. Just like I did for Nashville, I want to invest in the innate strengths of all 95 counties, both rural and urban areas. For much of Tennessee, agriculture tops the list of those strengths. In many rural communities, when agriculture is doing well, the entire community thrives as a result. Our farms support a tremendous amount of local jobs, and annual farm income supports local businesses. But changes in the farming industry have made profitability more difficult, especially for smaller farms. Supporting the success of our agricultural industry in today's economy requires many different things. I'll start with making sure producers and secondary agricultural businesses have access to the capital they need to establish themselves and grow their operation. The state already provides some supports for this, such as the Ag Enhancement Program, which generates nearly $4 for local economies for every dollar spent on the program. We need to continue to support and develop these types of smart investments. Access to adequate infrastructure is also critical. We need to invest in the construction of state roads from each county to the major thoroughfares of our state to support the transportation of agricultural products and make markets more accessible. Access to broadband in rural communities is critical to the agricultural industry. Access to the internet and wireless communication has grown in importance as the industry has moved toward using more technology. It also ensures that our children and students are able to get ahead. The quality of wireless service in rural parts of our state should match that in urban and suburban areas. We need to be encouraging providers to expand in rural areas. Electric and telephone cooperatives are also key to providing service to underserved areas. We can also support the agriculture industry as a whole by investing in marketing and promotion efforts. A part of that is agritourism. Tennessee is a beautiful state, and our farmlands are a big reason why. Agritourism should continue to be supported by the state government. Our promotion efforts should also include promoting the many different career opportunities in agriculture to our students through curriculum in our public schools, and this is where FFA and 4-H are critical partners. It really takes all of these supports working together to ensure the success of agriculture in Tennessee. I will put together an experienced Department of Agriculture that will listen to all producers from all parts of the state and act on their concerns. We have to make sure the regulations we have in place or any future proposed regulations make sense.
My philosophy concerning individual property rights. Well, you know, sometimes individual property rights are overlooked. They remain important to me, and I think they're just as important as some other rights that we have in this country. For instance, gun rights are important, but sometimes when we're looking at gun rights and where guns can go and not go, we forget about the property rights of the property owner, of the farm that it may be on, or the particular business. So I think those property rights are just as important as some others. The next question concerns farm income being down, and what can I do as governor to stimulate economic returns for Tennessee farmers? Well, you know, we're in a sort of a tariff situation that gives those of us interested in agriculture a bit of a pause to see what it'll do to our prices, especially soybean prices. And there's not much we as a state can do about that, but we can do some other things. We can give assistance with financing and ensure reasonable financing for farmers in Tennessee. We can help with marketing, and we can help with assist with new products and new markets. So there's some things that we can help when those farm prices aren't where we want them to be. Regulation is another question that's on the minds of many people, and especially farmers. The question is, how would I fairly assess the cost of regulation between the farmers and the population receiving the benefit? As we know, a market product like we as farmers have, you can't determine your price, it's determined for you. So you can't add the cost of regulation on there. So we have to limit our regulations as much as possible. We need to make sure they're safe and they're done for that purpose and they're not excessive. We can also use in Tennessee things like the very popular Ag Enhancement Grant that I voted for the very first time and voted to continue it every single year. So we can use those to help out with those situations where our pricing is not, our regulations are not exactly right. There's apparently a meat processing shortage in our country, and especially facilities in our state. What would I do to help with that? I think economic incentives for needed industries are certainly appropriate. So I would be for those as long as they're controlled, as long as they're monitored, and as long as they follow through, the folks that get the economic incentives follow through with what they promised. So I think that could be help in an industry when we need to bring more and closer meat packing and processing facilities into our state. Right to farm laws, they provide a valuable safety net. What are my thoughts about that? Well, I believe balance is the key on this. I certainly think farming is not a nuisance and should not be run as one, and that those farming rights should be maintained. So I think the right to farm is an important thing for those in the agricultural community and the public at large. The next question concerns broadband and the rural lag in broadband. It is extremely important. I don't know much about farming, but I know it's becoming much more technical and much more computerized, and to download and to have the data at your fingertips, you need broadband. And so do children in schools, so do small businesses that are cropping up in rural areas, so do a lot of things. It will be a priority for me to make sure that broadband is expanded, especially in rural Tennessee. We talk about it, we know how important it is. As a matter of fact, Governor McWhorter had an equation on jobs, and he said education and roads equal jobs. Well, I sort of put a 21st century twist to that, and I say education plus roads plus broadband equal jobs. It's important. We're talking now about the 13 voting member Fish and Wildlife Commission. The Farm Bureau policy supports having a full-time farmer for each of the grand divisions. What are my thoughts? I agree with that. I think it's a great policy. Farm Bureau also supports a regional staff and a state director for FFA, a great organization. I and my bank have supported this for many, many years, and I would support that policy to keep it funded, and I would have CTE, which FFA is a great part of, in my priority list for sure. They ask about the Tennessee State Fair. Well, I was a bit disappointed when they moved the Mid-South Fair in Memphis, close to my hometown, to Mississippi. We have a small fair in our community, and it really does well, and I think it's important for the youth and for everybody in the community. So I'm certainly supportive of the Tennessee State Fair, and I want it to be one of the best in the nation, and certainly would be in favor of improving and continuing it. And the last question has to do with government ownership of lands, which shifts the tax burden to private landowners. I think it's very important that these payments in lieu of taxes that we get sometime from both state and federal government have to be made, number one. They have to be fair and adequate, number two, and they must not be static. They have to be able to be increased as time and inflation set in. So that's the problem with the government owning too much land when they don't pay their share of the taxes that the local communities have lost.
Individual property rights are incredibly important and must be protected. And my record in the legislature reflects that belief. Under my leadership as Speaker, we've added protections to keep agricultural property from being annexed by cities without the owner's consent. We have repealed the death tax with the tremendous help of the Farm Bureau to help ease the burden on families and prevent family farms from being broken up and sold off to pay costly inheritance taxes. Agriculture is the foundation of our state's economy, and it is vitally important that we continue to protect the property rights of our farmers. I've had the opportunity to support and vote for updates to our Right to Farm Act a few times during my tenure in the legislature. Most recently, in 2014, we added protections for agritourism business so that farmers that have diversified operations can utilize the protections we have put in place for our more traditional farmers. I think we've done a good job keeping our right to farm law up to date with the industry's practices. And as governor, I will continue to make sure that our Right to Farm Act continues to protect our farmers from costly lawsuits. Broadband infrastructure has become a vital part of our modern economy, and ensuring that our rural communities have access to it needs to be a top priority. We've made some progress under the Tennessee Broadband Accessibility Act that the legislature passed last year. The first round of rural broadband grants were just announced a few months ago, but we certainly need to do more. We need to make sure that the tax dollars we are investing in broadband infrastructure are well targeted and that they help drive both increased connectivity and economic development in our rural communities. I have always been in favor of smaller government, and I don't mean just in the sense of less regulations, but also in the amount of property the state owns. As Speaker, I am a member of the State Building Commission, which must approve any action taken regarding state properties. I believe that any time the state looks to acquire additional property, we must first take a look at our existing properties to make sure that the goal we are trying to accomplish cannot be accomplished by existing owned property.
Growing up here in Fernvale, I developed a deep appreciation for personal property rights. And whether it's annexation, or taxation or regulation, I know personally the challenges of managing an operation on your own land. And your property is your property, and you have the right to work the land the same way your father did or his father before him. It's something that we cannot compromise on. So as governor, I would stand against annexation, and I would oppose any efforts toward a statewide property tax. And I would defend and protect our state's right to farm law, so that no farmer would ever be intimidated into changing his or her way of life. As farmers, we know how to be good stewards of the land. It's in our best interest to ensure that our water and our land is protected for future generations. But government regulators oftentimes go too far, with little knowledge of the challenges that our farmers face. It's time that we bring some common sense to the regulatory environment. And let's bring some farming experience into leadership in our state agencies. And while we're at it, maybe we should get a farmer in the governor's office. It's tough being an ag producer. 1 out of 8 of our farms in Tennessee have disappeared in the last decade. And our farmers are getting older in part because we've not committed resources to youth development. And the ones who bear the brunt of it most are small farmers. We need leadership to create an environment where the ag industry can thrive. Whether it's economic community development or education, we only spend a tiny portion of our resources currently for what is a significant part of our economy. As governor, I will be committed to strengthening programs like Ag Enhancement, programs that have helped our farm and thousands of farmers all across Tennessee. But it needs to be funded and it needs to be expanded to include more innovative technologies. And for our livestock producers, we'll take on the regulatory burdens that make it harder for meat processing facilities to locate in Tennessee, and we won't wait on the federal government. And at a time when technology is crucial for production, I'll lead a new commitment to rural broadband because we don't have a choice. Together, we can make Tennessee a leader in agricultural innovation, seeking new opportunities in the emerging ag tech industry that could revolutionize farming and keep our ag economy strong. We all know that there's a shortage of meat processing facilities all across our state. This is the meat that we process from the animals on our farm, and we drive 2 hours every week to find a quality processor. And the reason we don't have enough is because of over-regulation, and we've got to do something different about that. This is me and my daughter Sarah Kate when she won Champion Hereford at Expo. She went on to work as an intern for Extension, and next month she'll be graduating with a degree in animal science, and I am so proud of her. And this is actually me showing a calf as a kid. It happens to be the year that I attended National 4-H Congress. This is actually the barn where Sarah Kate and I spent hours fitting her calves. She showed in 4-H, so did I, so did all my kids. Youth development programs are a critical part of the future of the ag industry in this state. Some people call it CTE, but I call it vocational, technical, and agricultural education. And to a lot of politicians, it's just a talking point, but to me, it's been a way of life, and we need more of it. Tennessee has half the resources devoted to ag education that we had just 2 decades ago. And our neighboring state of Georgia has 4 times the resources dedicated to ag education that we do. At my company, we created an endowed scholarship through 4-H to encourage participation in that particular program. As a state, we need to strengthen our commitment to youth leadership development programs like FFA and like 4-H, and to agricultural education programs like Ag in the Classroom. We need to support the 33,000 ag students, the 347 ag teachers, and the 212 FFA chapters we have all across this state. We also need to improve and support the development of adult education through programs like Young Farmers and Ranchers and Ag Extension all throughout Tennessee. At a time when young farmers are harder and harder to come by, we have to do everything we can to keep the next generation engaged in our way of life. As governor, I'm committed to going beyond our current levels of support. We can start by reaching students earlier. We can find more dedicated time for instruction. And with partners like FFA and 4-H, I know that we can make ag education a valued part of our education system once again.
I've spent a lot of time in rural Tennessee, and most of the people I've met in our rural communities love their way of life, but they could use a boost. And that boost comes from the access to broadband and the many benefits it brings to the economy and other infrastructure. If we don't do something to provide more infrastructure, our young people will move away, and our small towns will eventually close down. Investing in infrastructure means so much more to our rural communities than just smooth roads. It means a better economy and flourishing careers and more job opportunities for the next generation. Our current system makes it hard for utilities and co-ops to set up shop. But I will remove the obstacles and make rural broadband a reality. Rural communities need broadband now. So I support whatever method brings broadband to the rural communities the quickest. We will have fast, reliable broadband and address other infrastructure needs, whether it be a road or a stormwater system. And that will encourage business to expand or relocate in our rural areas and provide jobs that turn into careers. I am committed to keeping the FFA a functioning and important part of Tennessee. You know, for countless kids across our state, FFA has not only introduced them to their passion, but given them a way to make it happen. As for CTE, school systems across Tennessee are doing great work in this area, but we need to expand opportunities for students to graduate from high school with a certificate or credential. We should leverage the resources and the energy behind the various post-secondary options, including TCATs and community colleges, and make them available to 7th through 12th graders. BEP funds should also contribute to this effort. Tennessee should offer a dual-track diploma, like most of the Western world. However, there are deficiencies in our current dual enrollment program that must be fixed. While dual enrollment credits can be used in TCATs, most dual enrollment options are general education requirements in four-year universities. We must greatly expand course offerings that mirror what CTE and TCATs are doing. Part of the answer is bringing the TCAT instructors into the high schools. We need to open dual enrollment classes to sophomores instead of just juniors and seniors, and give students the opportunity to take advantage of dual enrollment longer. Students in CTE programs graduate at a significantly higher rate than their peers not involved with CTE, and they leave high school with recognized industry credentials. They can also serve in leadership positions through membership in groups like FFA. As governor, I will conduct an efficiency review of every department and get rid of the waste and duplication. The Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation goes too far with their regulations. TDEC has more extreme rules than the Environmental Protection Agency. As governor, I want the state to be a good steward of taxpayer dollars, and that means cutting taxes and extreme regulations like those at TDEC. I want to be partners with our small towns and ensure that they have what they need to thrive. You know, farming is the lifeblood of our economy and the well-being of our communities. Our Tennessee farmers are some of our hardest working citizens. Studies have shown that high payoff from government investment in agriculture and supporting family farmers and family farm-centered food systems can jumpstart our economy and revitalize some of the rural areas who so badly need our help. As governor, I will make those investments, and I will always seek input from the agriculture community on the ways that Tennessee can become a better state to farm. You know, individual property rights are guaranteed by our Constitution, and an invasion of those rights weakens the protection of all other rights. Technology is advancing at a rapid pace and sometimes pushing past the boundaries of property rights. As governor, I will work to keep our laws evolving with this new technology to continue to protect and preserve individual property rights for all Tennesseans.
I believe that there are several clear, immediate steps we can take to help Tennessee farmers. First, support the initiatives of the Rural Task Force, like continuing and maybe even increasing the Ag Enterprise Fund. Second, maintain the size and the scope of the Department of Agriculture to cover farmers' needs and eliminate regulations that hurt economic growth. Third, continue to support the Ag Enhancement Fund and possibly increase it. Fourth, dramatically increase technical education at high schools and TCATs so that more students can get the farm-specific education they need. Fifth, I will direct ECD to work with the Department of Ag to recruit and retain more food processors by creating a new farm track fund. And sixth, continue to support the Farm Bureau, FFA, 4-H, and other agriculture advocacy groups through staff and support by the Department of Agriculture. I support policies that allow farmers to farm and use their land as they see fit. We need to make it easier for farmers, not harder. And as governor, I will support policies that allow farmers to farm without the threat of excessive lawsuits. Broadband is as important today as electricity and water was for past generations. I'm committed to making sure every Tennessean has access to this essential service. As Commissioner of ECD, I'm proud of the broadband bill my ECD team authored and helped pass last year. It allows electric co-ops to now offer broadband. They reach 2.5 million homes all across rural Tennessee. But there's still much work to be done, and I look forward to finishing the job as your next governor. It would be wise to have a farmer representative for each division of the state. I support the Farm Bureau's belief that we should strive to increase representation on the TWRA from 1 farm member to 3. Keeping and maintaining agricultural education is essential to our state. Farming isn't just a part of Tennessee, it is Tennessee. And for us to continue our heritage, we must have educational infrastructure in place to protect that. As governor, I want to put a renewed focus on career and technical education. In fact, I'm going to put a TCAT satellite campus on every high school. The Tennessee State Fair has a great history and heritage in our state, and I want to work to protect that. As governor, I would work to bring all stakeholders together, to look for ways we can grow and enhance the State Fair. I believe that we can strike a balance between tradition and history while looking for new and innovative ways to celebrate Tennessee agriculture.
The last question is, why am I the best person to be your next governor? Well, I think because of that body of work that I talked about when I started, but I think also I can hit the ground running on day one. I've been in that governor's office many times, sometimes like called on the carpet to the principal's office. But I know what a governor does. I know what his constraints are. I know what his authority is, as well as I do know the judicial authority and constraints and our legislative authority and constraints. I think I can be fair with all. I think I have a good reputation with the legislature being there so long, and I think I can seriously do a good job as the governor of our great state. Thanks, and have a great day.
We have much to be proud of in this state, but we need a leader who can hit the ground running on day one and continue this record of success. I am ready for that challenge. These policies have made Tennessee a great state to live, raise a family, work, and retire. With a deep knowledge of state government, I can hit the ground running on day one and continue these successes. Thank you.
I'm a man of faith, I'm a tested CEO, and I'm a product of rural Tennessee. And I'm running for governor because I believe Tennessee can be an even better place to live, especially our rural communities. And I believe that I know how to lead that change. As governor, we've got to do a better job of promoting and providing vocational, technical, and agricultural education. We've got to do everything we can to defeat this opioid epidemic. And we can do this by leading with the values that made Tennessee great: faith, family, and community. But I need your help to win this thing. Please consider joining my campaign at BillLee.com. And you can find the detailed answers to the Farm Bureau questions at BillLee.com/farm. I'd be honored to have your vote. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you soon.
Tennessee needs a governor who knows how to get things done, and I do. But there's another reason I believe I'm uniquely qualified to be your governor. I'm not afraid to defend Tennessee values. In our state, we know that right is right, wrong is wrong, truth is truth, God is God, and a life is a life. And we don't back down from any of it. I will jealously protect those values as your next governor. One thing is guaranteed. If you elect me, you know what you'll get. I will fight for conservative reforms. I will fight to defend our values, and I will fight for you.
I think it's important that the next governor understands and embraces the agriculture community. I think it's important that they be a business person and have made a payroll before. But it's also good if they're an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs have to be disruptive and innovative, and I know from experience, government needs some innovation and disruption. It's also important that the next governor knows how government works and can get things done. I believe I can be that governor, and I would appreciate your support and your vote, and look forward to serving you and the farmers of Tennessee. Farm Bureau, thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Tennessee Farm Bureau is a vital and strong voice not only in Tennessee, but in the nation, and I will rely on them and their leadership to help me and my administration to be a national leader in agriculture. I am running for this office because I'm convinced Tennesseans want a get-it-done governor who will focus on moving our state forward. That's what I did for Nashville, and that's what I'll do for Tennessee. Right now, too much time is spent in state government arguing about social issues instead of focusing on how we can help families who are struggling in the forgotten parts of Tennessee. I won't let partisan politics stand in the way of common sense solutions for Tennesseans. I would be honored to earn your support, to serve as your next governor, and to work alongside each and every one of you to build a stronger Tennessee.